To do this repeatedly, consistently, collaboratively. I don't need to tell you that. So I'm going to fly through this so we catch up on time a little bit. You know all this. It'll work because it's based on cognitive and linguistic science and new stuff, which you're going to hear in a minute. Messages have a frame. Every word is understood through context within a frame. Okay? We kind of got to that 2 weeks ago. That frame defines your moral worldview, and more importantly, the moral worldview you are unconsciously reinforcing. Okay? People vote and respond to morals and values, and more people vote on moral frames and issues. You should get this. The last 4 elections in the state are proof positive that people vote values, not issues. Everybody knew that Scott Walker did not fulfill his jobs promise. Everybody knew that. There was no doubt. It was everywhere in the media. It didn't matter.
Is there some scientific or cognitive reason that we all think alike but so differently
Yes.
from them?
And it's the difference in frames that it's the difference in your moral worldview based on your physical experience in the world. And it can change. Look, I was raised in Brookfield. My family's very Christian. When I was growing up, when I was in high school, I thought Ronald Reagan was great. I listened to Rush Limbaugh with my dad, and I went to the University of Wisconsin, got indoctrinated. And when I went home to my parents, when I was in college and I had gone to a Jesse Jackson for President rally and I told them it had changed my life, you should have seen the look on my white Anglo-Saxon father's face. And when I went home with an earring too, that was...
If the
Sure.
jobs and the issue of Walker didn't matter, what was the moral issue that did matter that got people to vote for him?
Oh, he is the embodiment of the conservative frame. He is the physical, metaphorical representation of the conservative frame. So anybody who even moderately leans toward conservative is highly attracted to him, unconsciously even. So today, we're going to learn how important your unconscious is. Okay? Your unconscious is, we now know that your unconscious is not the traditional psychological view of the unconscious, right? The traditional psychological view of the unconscious is, it is just conscious thought repressed. No, that is not what the unconscious is. It's way more than that. It actually influences your physical behavior on many levels. We're going to practice making the unconscious conscious, right? This is what conservatives started doing back in the 60s, making the unconscious, evoking of their moral system conscious and influencing people with it. We're going to learn how to do that today. We're going to learn how to pivot previously unconscious frames for effective conscious communications. That's a huge mouthful. But what it means is we're going to learn to take language in messaging on issues that have unconscious subtext in the conservative frame and pivot them to consciously evoke progressive ideas and change public discourse on those issues. And that will evoke and reinforce progressive ideas. Now, I'm going to play this for about 10 minutes. I will stop and start where it's important. So George sent me this video. He did the keynote address at the American Psychological Society conference in Amsterdam in March. And this is, we're going to listen about the first 10 minutes of this talk, and it's based on a new kind of multi-segmented research that they're going to be publishing this year. And the research is based on what's called the embodiment hypothesis. And it's taking research from 4 different areas of basically brain science: cognitive science, neuroscience, psychology, and linguistics. and putting together this broad view of how our brains actually work in this new stuff. So I will play it, and I will pause at parts that are significant. It's about 10 minutes, but it's critically important. Make sure you can hear it too.
Thought is unconscious, and the usual estimate's around 98%. But if you believe the work that Stan DeHaan talked about the other night, it's more than 98%. Consciousness is the tip of the iceberg of thought. And it is there that things are put together in an interesting way. And the interesting way is the following, that before consciousness, what happens is that your brain unconsciously changes what you perceive or what you think. And this is something remarkable. I think one of the best papers I heard on this was by Shin Shimocho, who's a vision scientist at Caltech. And he came to Berkeley a couple of months ago and gave a truly remarkable overview of experiments that show this, many of which were his. Let me give you a sense of this. Suppose you know that if there are flashing lights and they're going along and they're going fast enough, they look like a single stream. No problem, you all know that. But the same thing happens with touch. So you have little machines that will touch you along your arm very closely, very quickly, and it'll feel like someone's stroking your arm. Fine. Then they set the machine to hit you here and then underneath the first one, and then to the right of the first one. And what you feel is the second one, not underneath, but in the middle. That is, you don't feel what was actually done, you assimilate it to a pattern you already know.
Okay, that's important. So what he said at first was that your brain unconsciously changes things before it becomes conscious thought to fit existing patterns. Okay, try to wrap your head around that. Oh, Mary?
Well, I was just thinking that is an easier way to understand that is that it fills in the blank based on what you
Right.
experienced.
Yep, and we talked about that last week with the slides with the empty circle and then the red filling in. It's the same concept that when, even with physical touch, how your brain perceives things is not actually how they are. Okay, because your brain is constantly changing what you are experiencing based on your previous experience. Okay, he's going to get to that later, but I just wanted to underscore that.
Suggesting basically that a straight line is a more powerful frame, so it converts this into a straight line.
Exactly. All our thought is linear. Our conscious thought is linear. So your brain will fill in perception to be based on that very, tactile, physical, linear, straight line.
When you say all our thought is linear?
Our conscious thought is linear. All conscious thought is perceived in terms of metaphorical line, either going somewhere or coming from somewhere. Our cause and effect, our perception of time, motion, direction, everything, sentences, a beginning and an end to a sentence. Your brain overall doesn't work that way. Your brain works in parallel because of the complexity of what happens physically in your brain. Everything works in parallel because so much is done unconsciously to allow you to live, survive. Yep.
Something that gives me a little bit of hope about all this is I've had the sort of the reverse experience, which is I moved out of this culture into a non-technological culture and lived for 2 years in that environment where no one spoke English and where there were no cars, no water or electricity. I came back to the United States and I tried to drive out of a parking lot onto a 4-lane road, not a super highway, but just a 4-lane street.
Sure.
And I sat there for about 10 minutes because I could not judge the speed of the cars going by, only to discover later that the speed limit in that area was 35 miles an hour. And then I tried to drive at night, and I could not interpret the meaning of the lights. So my frame of reference
Right.
had changed, and those habits of framing weren't there anymore.
Exactly.
And it says they can change. I guess that's
Correct. Yep.
in only 2 years.
Yep. Okay.
And that means not recognizing what was presented to you on your arm through touch, but only representing something that, and you feel on your arm, something that was not touched there. Okay? This is like the McGurk effect, which I'm sure you probably all know, and if you don't, you didn't take a phonology course. Basically, it goes like this. You have a picture, a video of someone saying ba, and the same person saying ga. And you show those, and then you show the picture of him saying ga while he sounds like ba, right? That's what people are presented with, and what they hear is da. With it.
Did you get that? Okay. If people are presented with say you're sitting in front of a computer screen and you're shown a picture of somebody going ga, ga, right? Or ga, ba, right? What you will hear is they are saying da. This gets really interesting.
G, which is in the mouth in between. It's the same thing. You're creating something that was not either presented to you visually or orally, and you're hearing something that wasn't there. Right? And this is completely normal and happens in other kinds of cases.
Oh. It's thinking.
You add a hearing loss to that situation, you're really in trouble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't. There's actually just more examples like that. We can move on. So you get the idea, right? Your brain functions unconsciously to shape what you consciously understand. So translate what he just said into politics and discourse in public policy, right? If we talked about it 2 weeks ago, if there are gaps in information, right? If there is a gap in public discourse, if people are seeking information, what will their brains do? Fill it in with the most expedient available knowledge, which is generally in the conservative frame. Right? So you get this feedback loop going on within the echo chamber. That's what we need to change. So this is what we needed the teams for. We're going to play a little game. And open the... All right, here we go.
Is this something we can bring up on our own computer at home?
Yes, you will get this. I'll share this with you virtually. There we go. Okay. Just think of me as Alex Trebek. Does anybody want to volunteer to be a scorekeeper? Come on up. So let's see, team 1 is here. It's team 2, team 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we just need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unless you want to pick names. Okay. So we're going to do this because I'd like to get through all 25 questions. So we won't do, you pick a question. If you get it right, you get the points. If you get it wrong, you don't get anything, we move on. If you're half right, I will use judge's discretion to award partial points. Okay, so we have basics of framing, progressive frame, conservative frame, common mistakes, and know your metaphors. Now this is based directly on what we did 2 weeks ago. And
Talk about a metaphor for just a second.
what's that?
Talk about what a metaphor.
Job creation is a metaphor. Okay, a metaphor does not have literal meaning in the context of what it says. It is understood basically representative of an idea that fits a certain frame. So job creation would be a metaphor that fits the conservative frame of the corporate manager employee relationship. Does that make sense? Obamacare is a metaphor. Metaphors are all over the place. Fiscal cliff. Fiscal cliff is a metaphor. There's no such thing as the fiscal cliff. Anne's got one?
Okay, no,
Oh.
but just as, to help people, metaphors are always nouns.
There you go. Okay? And I give examples of metaphors and ask you to do things with them. So team 1, pick a category and pick a point. And of course, the higher the points, the harder the question.
Progressive frame for 10.
Progressive frame for 10. The progressive frame is based on the core value, a 7-letter word. The progressive frame is based on the core value of what?
Sharing. Equality.
Wait, no. Team 1. Team 1. Team 1. So come to a consensus and then, is that? It's 7 letters. Okay, they say sharing. We need the buzzer. Empathy. See how this works? Okay. So progressive frame for, it's supposed to go away. That's okay. I'll remember. Team 2. So progressive frame for 10 is?
Common mistakes, 10.
Ooh, common mistakes, 10. Telling people the facts will win their vote. True or false? False. Well, so is empathy. Okay, so team 2 gets 10 points. I'm going to keep track of.
I can do that for you. Common mistakes. Let me do that.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're keeping track? Okay, we've got, okay. It's supposed to, the number's supposed to disappear. So it must be something in the.
I wonder if you clicked on the 10, like after the false, if you clicked on the number 10 instead of going back.
No, no, yeah. You'll see when you get this and you download it, when you click on the number, it'll go away. So you can use this with your groups. Okay, team 3.
Conservative frame,
For how many points?
30.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
We all know the conservative frame.
Lack of success implies a lack of.
Discipline.
It's got to fit the. It's got to fit the thing. 8 letters.
Discipline.
Is that your answer? Discipline? But you know what I'm going to do? Hold on. I'm going to give you half the points for that.
Somebody did say it back there.
Well, but so give them half. 15. 15. I'll tell you why. Because you were making the connection that lack of discipline, people who aren't successful it's implied that they're not disciplined. But the bigger picture is that they're not immoral, right? Okay. Okay, good. This is a good start. Team 4.
Common mistakes, 10.
I think that one was taken.
20.
20? Okay. Okay, common mistakes for 20. Public policies are based on what? 6 letters. Boy, and Penny's going to be really upset if you don't get this one right.
I know.
What's the what? Values. What do you think? Values.
That's a mistake.
That's not true.
Huh?
That's not true.
Is that a mistake?
No, that's true. Public policies are based on values.
So why is it a common mistake?
Because progressives don't think of public policies as being based on values. Progressives make public policy and then they say, okay, this public policy is our value, right? Progressives, they say, listen to a political campaign. Okay, listen to, I don't know, they'll say, we all share the same values. Public education, healthcare. They don't talk about the values, right? There has to be conscious recognition that you believe in the public policies you advocate for because of your values. The values come first. That's why it's a common mistake.
So you're saying that basically we talk about the policy thinking that people will infer the same values that we do.
Exactly. Did everybody hear that? Yeah. We assume that people will infer the same values we do when we talk about policy. It's that idea that, that all language fits the world the same. People will understand things the way we do.
Called the presumption of arrogance.
Very good. What's your selection, Team 5?
We're going to do basics of framing for 50.
See, research shows that people vote and respond to what and what. 6 letters and 6 letters. Woo-hoo. Is that your answer? Did everybody hear their answer? Morals and values. Guess what? Team 5. 50 points. All right, after the first round, Team 5 is in the lead. Oh, hey, things can change like that. It's like baseball. Don't leave after the 7th inning. Team 1.
Conservative frame for 50.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Conservative frame for 50. This is worth 50. In the conservative frame, the public is considered what? As it takes away incentives for what? The public, government, is considered what in the conservative frame? As it takes away incentives for
Harmful fits for the first. She only has 4 years. Or immoral. Immoral, yeah. Because it takes away
Initiative.
personal responsibility.
does personal fit?
Personal doesn't fit.
Right. This may be, go ahead.
When it takes away the incentive for the individual to.
This is why we're playing this game. Because you all know the answers, but it's making them
What are the words
verbal.
that they use? Yeah.
So the public is considered what? Well, wait, they're still working on it. Okay, so what does it take away incentives for? Okay, need an answer.
Yeah.
Commit to something. Immoral, and what's the last 2 words? Ooh, he's thinking. Okay. You give up? Okay. Anybody want to take a guess? No. Incentive. An incentive for something. Private success. I'll give them 20 points. 20 points. They got the first one right. They got immoral right.
Cindy, are you keeping track of
All right, team two. Team two, pick your poison. Here's the,
Oh, there's a.
No progressive.
we got a little outline. Oh, progressive frame for 50. All right. This is worth 50. Define democracy in the progressive frame. Define democracy. I said the 50-point ones are tough.
You mean, what the ideal progressive frame would be, or
Yeah, define. Yeah,
successful one?
Let's all turn around here.
in the.
Together. As a community.
I'll give you as much time as Team 1 had to.
No fill in the blank for this one?
No. And I'll be honest, if you're close, you'll get some points, yeah.
Caring citizens coming together for the common good.
Okay, did you all hear that? Is that your answer? Caring citizens coming together for the common good. That's pretty close. I'll tell you what. Caring citizens coming together, I'll give you 45 for that. Because there's a key word. Responsibly is a key word. Team 2.
Can I ask where these phrases came from?
They were all in the first presentation we did 2 weeks ago.
Well,
and
okay,
it's
But what great think tank came up with this particular
I see.
words for our frame?
I see. Yeah. So these came from the research that Lakoff and others have done at Berkeley to map the frames in terms of what people evoke and express in those frames.
With, whatever hundreds or thousands of answers, these words came up the most.
The ideas were evoked the most and made sense in terms of how you define democracy or
It was a distillation of
a lot of data. Yep.
It seems to me that this is only one of two progressive frameworks.
Wait, hold on. This is a good question.
It seems to me that this is only one of two current progressive
We're
frameworks.
not here to chat about what it is.
This framework,
Hold on.
it seems to me that this is only one of two progressive frameworks. This framework says nothing about class conflict.
Oh, hold. Okay.
This framework says nothing about there being different interests in society and ordinary people. For one way of framing it would be to say ordinary people getting together to protect themselves against domination by the few, which would
So
be
you're
another progressive framework.
You're confusing. You're confusing what we're talking about in terms of a frame being. Okay, a frame is a structure in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that specifically evokes one moral ideology or the other, or combinations of both. You're confusing specific language about specific issues that basically fit the frame, but do it in ways that are specific to an issue. So, for example, what you just said about the protecting citizens against that fits the progressive frame. That evokes the progressive frame that we're talking about. It's different language that evokes it.
I mean, I guess the reason I'm questioning this is because this seems to assume somehow deep down that if we're all caring, we will all agree. But the truth of the matter is, we don't all agree because we care about different things.
That's not true.
And we...
No. Okay, consciously, yes. Consciously, we care about different things. Unconsciously, we care about the same things. So when we talk about shared values, we're talking about metaphorical moral models. In those metaphorical moral models, people who fit that model and live that model have the same definitions and evoke the same values on every issue. What happens is there's biconceptualism where there is crossover and combinations of conservative and progressive coming together, which creates specific variances. Don't confuse moral metaphorical frames that we're talking about that are, again, neurally embodied in your brain with political discourse on specific issues. Because that's what we're talking about, apples and oranges, but the oranges relate to the apples because it's all based on an unconscious moral frame. Framing is defined as the neural structures in your brain that evoke the thought and emotion for an idea. And you do it all the time. You're talking about specific language about a specific issue that may or may not fit the perfect metaphor for the progressive frame. Okay? Yep, we don't want to get too in the weeds, but yeah, because we got to keep going here.
I need a definition.
Of?
Yeah, the public in this context.
Government.
Oh, government, okay.
Sorry, government. Yep.
So why do you call it the public?
Because people have this terrible idea of the government as being this awful, intrusive thing that's out to get you and your guns.
Because the conservatives own the word government?
Pretty much,
So
yep.
we use public?
The public, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Mary?
I'm just wondering if we had one that demonstrated the conservative definitions, would that help?
We do.
Yeah.
So
Pick one.
we should keep going. Okay. Okay. Is it quick?
Yeah, it's very quick, and it's just that this use of the term "the public" is a way to restructure our thinking.
Yeah. Right.
It's a new definition. It's a primitive term
Correct.
for us linguistically because we haven't filled it out yet. However, as I was struggling with this for the last week, I'm not sure. There are two things about that statement I've got problems with. One is the use of the term "the public," when I think it would be much better described as the Commonwealth. Between us.
Those are the same ideas.
Yeah, I know it's the same
Yeah,
idea,
but you
I'm
could say
saying
that.
words matter.
Yeah, but you could say that.
You know.
Mhm.
And the other thing that's missing from that, if it's just caring citizens acting responsibly through the Commonwealth, it excludes all of those who feel strongly that they make huge contributions through non-Commonwealth institutions. Their churches.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Their community organizations. And so I don't think, I mean, as a progressive, I believe in both of those things, not simply the function of the Commonwealth, which is the infrastructure that we in a democracy create as citizens.
But just remember, we're talking about a specific definition of democracy.
Yeah, democracy, not.
Right. So what you're saying is true. Right. We, as progressives, we want to provide resources for other non-public organizations to support the work they do. That's great. We're talking about a definition of democracy, which basically is our elected government. So as a definition of our elected government and democracy, what democracy represents, it is commonwealth.
Because we participate in government as well.
Right.
They participate more specifically in democracy.
What, Mark?
That conservatives also participate in democracy. We don't hold
A monopoly on.
monopoly on democracy.
They just have a different moral view of democracy, which we'll get to if somebody picks a question. Team 2.
No, we did 3. You got 4.
Oh, you got, okay, sorry, 3. I'm sorry, which? Common mistakes for 50. Why is it important to speak to biconceptuals in the progressive frame? Everybody remember what a biconceptual is?
Say it again for those of us who weren't there.
Okay, a biconceptual, almost everybody is a biconceptual. You have some progressive frame in you, some conservative. If you can watch a John Wayne movie, you understand the conservative frame. If you are happy watching kids open birthday presents, you have progressive frame.
reinforce it. That's the question. It overrides the conservative frame.
Okay.
And strengthens the progressive frame.
Did everybody hear that? Say it louder.
Overrides the conservative frame and strengthens the progressive frame.
To activate and strengthen the progressive frame in the brain, which, yes, also mutual inhibition. It inhibits activation of the conservative frame. 50 points. Because they got the core concept is, okay, the core concept is that we speak in the progressive frame to biconceptuals because it strengthens the progressive that's already there. Right? They already have the capacity and the neural structure for progressive vision and ideas. So by speaking to them, it strengthens it. And again, inhibits activation of the conservative.
You're in the lead. Ding, ding, ding.
Question.
How would you speak to a very conservative legislator?
Can we talk about that later? Okay. We'll get to that. Okay, team 4.
Go big, go big, go big. There's one more 50 left.
Here's the chart of what's left.
That's a 20 from that. Know your metaphors.
Know your metaphors, 20. All right. Metaphor. Career ready is a metaphor in the conservative frame for education. What critical idea does it activate about the purpose of education?
Ready for a job and making money.
Making money for a job.
Being ready for a job
Being-
and making money.
Being ready for a job and making money. Education's sole purpose is to prepare kids to get a job. 20 points. Okay, can you see the availability board here? I can move this out. There we go. Know your metaphors. Know your metaphors for 50. You wanted a 50-pointer. Why is Scott Walker so successful with conservatives and the population at large? There you go. 50 points for Team 5.
Team 5 is what way ahead.
And this is really important, because look at every message that comes out from Democrats and progressives that starts with the term Scott Walker. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you say after Scott Walker because it activates what's called a huge neural cascade.
So is perception of the messenger as important as the perception of the message itself?
Ooh, wait. Great question, Mark. Say that again.
Is the perception of the messenger as important as the perception of the message itself?
Yes.
So we have to have the right messengers.
Yes, because all thought is physical.
Say, Scott, the additional little add-on to that thing is that when people get nauseated by the image of Scott Walker, what's actually happening is that you're experiencing tense nerve, vagal, visceral reaction, which is as nuclear core as in the center of the midbrain.
That's right. That's exactly right. When people who are strongly progressive have a visceral, nauseating reaction to Scott Walker, it's because that is a physical function in your brain.
And for conservatives, Obama does it.
Right, for conservatives, Obama does it. But more to the point, conservatives have the opposite reaction you do to Scott Walker. They have a feeling of connection, physical connection, like you do with somebody in your family.
So it stimulates endorphins in the conservatives.
Exactly. There you go.
Just one question. What happens? Why then wouldn't you think then that all conservatives would love Scott Walker?
Most of them do.
But a lot of them don't.
Very.
I know a lot of conservatives who don't, so I'm trying to figure out, is there a way then that we can switch that so that...
That's the biconceptual thing. Yep.
These are pretty right-wing conservatives.
But notice the recent polling, the more conservative you are, the more you like Scott Walker. That's happening nationally. So, okay, let's keep.
Could you give me any insight as to what it is about Scott Walker comparative to the other Republicans?
Oh, I would say there's a lot of the field does that.
Yeah.
I'm just talking specifically in our state. This is, where he's strongest in this state. But I wouldn't be. I mean, it could carry over. I mean, he's positioning himself to do that. Okay, real quick.
I just want to say something, and if we could just all hold our questions for lunch, so we can get through the material.
Thank you.
So, team 1. Lots of 40 pointers on the board.
Progressive frame for 40.
Progressive frame for 40. Define empathy. Shh.
Putting yourself in the shoes of another person.
And feeling what they feel in their situation. Understanding to the point where you feel what another person feels in their situation.
Or you think you do.
Or you think you do. So,
If you have true empathy, you truly do.
But you never know that.
Answer. What's your answer?
Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes to feel the pain that other person feels.
Or the joy.
Or the joy.
Okay. This may be this is going to be a partial point. The responsibility to care for others as oneself.
That's not empathy.
Oh no.
Yes, it
I don't
is.
do that one bit. That's absolutely
not
wrong.
empathy.
I may
Empathy
feel that he's in pain and that he deserves it.
Then that's conservative.
But it's empathetic. Because
What was the question? What was the question?
I don't think
Oops, sorry.
That's just a bad definition of empathy.
No,
as far as I'm concerned.
look, okay. Hold on. I'm going to make a statement here. For those of you who have done these workshops before, for those of you who are familiar with the cognitive research that's gone into this, okay, and for those of you who have not, I will be really honest with you. If you're going to debate the merits of this research and this philosophy, then you can get me at another time. Because I will share with you as much documentation as you want, but we're here to learn this and move forward. This question was define empathy in the progressive frame. In the progressive frame, empathy is caring for others as yourself. And look, let's be honest, right? Much of what you thought was empathy is from the conservative frame. Why is that? Because the conservative frame is more dominant. Yes, you may experience, because of our mirror neurons, you feel the pain that others have when they are hurting. As you said, maybe you think they deserve it. That is conservative. I'm sorry.
May I
Yeah.
try to help with that? Progressive, we can both feel empathy. Conservatives and progressives can feel empathy. In a progressive frame, a progressive person feels that we are all responsible.
That's where the
We have a responsibility to help others.
To help others. Conservative says that's your problem.
Right.
You deal with it.
Right.
It's not my problem.
Right.
That's part of the conservative.
So we missed
The
the word
progressive frame is.
What was that, a 40-point question?
Yeah.
So I'll give them 20 points. Because you missed the word responsibility. That's key.
It's not just feeling,
Okay.
it's behavior.
You can say that. Yep. Team 2.
Basics of framing for 40.
Basics of framing for 40. All right, pensions are now considered entitlements. This is an example of a shift in what due to conservative framing dominance. A 6-letter word and then a 5-letter word. An example of a shift in what in something something. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago a lot. Answer?
Public value?
Ooh. Okay. You're gonna do a big sigh when you see the answer. Right? Common sense is defined by the dominant frame. Okay. Because yeah. Well, I may have to actually. I'm going to have to do this and then this. Pensions are now considered entitlements. Okay, they didn't used to be considered entitlements. They used to be thought of as earned, benefit earned for work already done. But it's a shift in common sense because the conservatives have succeeded in framing it that way.
Last time we talked about common sense, you said it had nothing to do with anything about the way that people frame or think.
No, I said it had everything to do with it.
Yeah. You said it today.
Yeah, framing has everything to do with common sense. Yeah. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Just a quick one on this one because it's interesting to me, among some very conservative people, they really resent that entitlement frame for their Social Security.
Yes, they do. But why is that? Because it affects them, their self.
So how is that successful? Because how is that a conservative successful message? They earned it.
Because they earned it.
I know, but if they resent being called an entitlement, how is that successful for the conservatives? That's what I'm.
Oh, because it reinforces the idea that everything you get, you earned yourself. And that you deserve it because you have been disciplined your whole life. You've kept your nose to the grindstone. You pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. You did the hard work. You earned it.
So you call pension an entitlement, that's bad. You call Social Security an entitlement because entitlements are bad. You don't want Social Security to be called an entitlement.
Conservatives don't want it to be called an entitlement. Right.
They can't take it away from you if it's yours.
Right.
They want to make it not yours.
They don't want anything to be thought of as an entitlement.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Well, they want pensions to be thought of as an entitlement.
They consider them an entitlement.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But see, that's because in terms of the public, it's their tax dollars going to pay for pensions for public, right? So it's
Public pensions are considered entitlements. And public pensions.
oh, even private, because the people who own the corporations, right? They don't want to pay pay those entitlements, the pensions, because they're in right.
So they're called
Yep.
entitlements.
Look at right to work. I mean, that's one of the.
As a group, Republicans or conservatives want to frame it as not your money, so they can take it away from you.
Right.
As individuals, even conservative individuals, they want to keep their pension, they want to keep their Social Security, hands off my Medicare.
Right.
But so that's where we could. That's somewhere in
There's
there.
that's the opportunity. The biconceptual.
Their head's going to explode. when they
Exactly.
realize that.
Exactly. Let's. Metaphors for 40. Instead of using the job creator metaphor, what metaphor can progressives use to evoke the progressive frame of economics? We talked about this 2 weeks ago extensively. So if you weren't here 2 weeks ago, or if you didn't watch any of the videos, or you haven't read anything, give them 40 points. Workers are profit creators. Good job. Good job. Okay, team 4. Pick your we got some left here. Oh, I'm so. Oh, geez. Thank you. Just throw a rock at me or something.
Common mistakes for 40.
Common mistakes for 40. Ooh, we've given this one away already. A person who is considered a centrist or moderate is a.
Gotta get that one.
How many letters?
A lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 letters.
Biconceptual?
Biconceptual it is. Right, because you have both, you have capacity to activate both frames, and you do it on a regular basis without even thinking about it.
Is that an independent also?
Yes. Yep. Okay. Team 5, yeah.
Conservative frame for 40.
Conservative frame for 40. All the big points are dropping off the board. Ooh. All right, so what fundamental truth about the private enterprise, private corporations is hidden in their frame, in the conservative frame?
Reward and punishment.
Fundamental, we did talk about this quite a bit. It's hidden. It's something that, for their frame to work metaphorically, it has to be hidden.
Well, it draws down public resources.
I think it's reward and punishment.
It extracts public resources for a fundamental purpose.
Oh, I think we have an answer. What's the answer?
Extraction of public resources.
That the private needs the public in order to make profits.
There you go. Private depends on the public. Bingo.
Wow, Team 5 is kicking butt.
This,
Yeah, you didn't build
you want to start undermining conservatives? This is how you do it. It's fundamental, right? Private enterprise, private freedoms are not possible without the public. Can't be done. Try building your own sewers.
I think they have.
No, with public money. No. They get public money. They get tax breaks. They get TIF districts. Oh, okay.
Common mistakes for 30.
Common mistakes for 30.
Team 1, you need this bad.
Evoking a frame provides necessary what for the facts. Okay, we talked about this a lot 2 weeks ago. The facts don't matter unless they are framed properly because it provides what? Ooh. Give them 30 points.
In what context are you giving them points?
In the context of them getting the question right. Don't mess with me on linguistics. Not today.
For 30, there's metaphor, progressive frame, and basics. For 20, there's basics, progressive frame, and conservative frame. Progressive frame, 30.
Progressive frame for 30.
We want to use our daily
People
double.
that win get to eat first.
Yeah, right. The people who win get to eat first. Private life and enterprise are not possible without, you better get this, or the public. Yes, yep. Team 3. There's basics for 30, metaphors for 30. Basics.
Framing for 30, please.
Basics of framing for 30. Scott Walker hasn't created enough jobs is an example of what mistake in messaging?
It evokes a conservative frame.
And is dependent on facts.
It mentioned Scott Walker. I'll give you another example. Don't think of an elephant. So what is that mistake called? One more chance. I want people to wait. What? Say it. Negation. Right? If you say don't think of an elephant, if you say Scott Walker hasn't created jobs. Yes. Ann?
Yes, I just saw another example of negation. In response to the Darling and Lawson attempt to take over certain
MPS.
public schools.
Yep.
And they show a sign that says takeover and then a line through it.
Yeah. Right. It's the same. Right to work for less. Yeah, because even if you try to deny it, you're still evoking the idea. So if I say don't think of an elephant, what do? Right? That's a simple version of it, but think of it happening in terms of Scott Walker, a very powerful metaphor. Thank you. Bingo. Team 4. Oh, there's a metaphors for 30. No, you got the full. You said negation. Yeah. Conservative frame for 20. In the conservative frame, what does success come from? If you are successful, you are what? You better get this. That doesn't fit. Oh, but no, this is important. Because if you're a rich bastard, you're what? You've been what? That's made you. No, what has made you successful? From whence does success come?
It's either self-motivation or self-discipline.
Pick one.
Discipline.
Give them 20 points. Self-discipline. You must be disciplined. Right? Think. Children are born bad. Right? Conservatives believe this. Children, read James Dobson. Focus on the family. Children are born bad with original sin. Right? To make it in the world and be successful, the parents have to discipline them. That's right.
Starting at age 18 months.
Yep. That's right. Okay.
One more 30.
Wait, who's, team 5.
Metaphors for 30. Chance to be first, team 5.
Metaphors for 30. Conservatives talk about cutting red tape and giving people control in healthcare. These metaphors evoke healthcare as what? Cutting red tape and giving people control over their choices in healthcare. There's several words that mean the same thing that will be accepted. Product? I think we're going to take that one. Commodity.
Well, we were saying
right.
Commodity.
Product, commodity, right? Or it's in the overall market frame, right?
That's what I wrote down, market.
There you go. Yep.
I just can't get the ones for next.
Okay. Here's your chance, team 1.
Team 5 leading first, so someone's got to come up. Come on here.
What is it?
Framing for 20?
Progressive frame for 20?
We had that one. It's 40.
What metaphorical model for the family is evoked by the progressive frame? There's a metaphorical model for progressive and metaphorical model for conservative based on family types.
Nurturing mother.
Egalitarian.
Wait, is that your answer? Nurturing? The nurturant parent. Yep. 20 points. And we won't, because I think the conservative one is up there, so don't say anything. Okay, team 2. Basics for 20? Basically. True or false? Thought is rational. You all better get this.
Except for
False.
present company accepted.
Even you only think you're rational. You only think you're rational. Team 2. Pick a 10. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we can do another one.
Sorry, team 3. Oh, sorry, here. Progressive frame, conservative frame, or metaphors?
Progressive for 10.
Progressive for 10. Wait, didn't we do that one? Oh, I see. That's right. Define it. Okay. 10 points. 10 points for team 3. Team 4. Conservative or metaphor? Metaphors. Love the metaphors. Job creation is a metaphor evocative of which frame? Progressive or conservative? Give them 10 points. All right, last question. Conservative frame for 10. The conservative frame is based on which metaphorical family model? Strict authoritarian father. There we go. So, total them up.
Oh, Scott Walker was subjected to a stand-in when he visited Wabaka a couple of years ago. And his people came out and said, "Crybabies," and we were all senior citizens.
Yeah. Team 5 eats first. All right. So, we got a couple. Just stay in your groups. We're gonna catch up. We're gonna be on time. So, I like these exercises because it's kind of fun. Everybody loves a little friendly competition, but it also gets you to think in terms of changing your brains, activating those new neural circuits that you started creating 2 weeks ago. The key is to keep doing this. I still go back to the well. I read books by Charles Fillmore or George Lakoff or Antonio Damasio. People who have done really edgy research on this stuff because you have to. And I always listen to Charlie Sykes for an hour a day. But listen, you listen to him knowing this, and you're going to understand how powerful this is, how really good at it he is. Charlie Sykes is a very smart man, and he understands what he's doing 100%, and this is what he's doing, and this is what's effective. So the key to changing minds, identify the moral frame. Okay, you should all be able to look at a statement, understand that it has deep meaning, and which frame it evokes. Okay, find which frame it is in the values, then find where biconceptualism is. People have brought up examples of how conservatives love their public schools, how they want their Social Security, right? Find where they are on those issues and start evoking the progressive frame to them on those issues.
That was the strategic structure that was used when they broke through when they first broke through the Iron Wall. The Iron Curtain.
Mm-hmm.
There was a group of there was a group of Quakers that were led by a guy named Morris Keaton, was the ethical professor of philosophy at a Midwestern college. And this is exactly the process that they used when they made their first breakthrough the Iron Curtain and were able to start negotiations on breaking down that wall.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Identify the moral frame.
There you go.
We agree on what our core value is, which is survival, personal survival. We will not nuke each other to death.
Yep. And then what you find is the same message in the progressive frame works on every issue with those people, because you're finding where the values are. You bet. Speaking of values avoids issue silos. Critically important. So look at that. Oh, certainly. So speaking of values avoids issue silos, right? Because then the environment people are talking about the same progressive values to education people, right? Environmental people then aren't talking about, well, we shouldn't have an iron mine up north, and the education people are saying, we don't want voucher schools, right? Now you're talking about common values, which are empathy for others, responsibility, community, freedom as progressives, right? We talked about 2 weeks ago, this idea of starting to reclaim and redefine freedom and what that means in the progressive frame. That's important stuff.
So when you say identify the moral frame, that's
Yeah.
not conservative or progressive?
It is, yes.
So
for example, if you...
number one is identify the moral frame, and number three is talk in the progressive frame. So you're assuming when you identify it, it's going to be conservative frame? Or
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about talking to super conservative people like Leah Vukmir. Would be a good example. Look, you're not gonna be able to win everybody over. Just accept that there are 10 to 15% of the population are progressives that have no capacity for the conservative frame. They have no capacity for being strict authoritarian figures. 10 to 15% of the population. Conservative, 10 to 15% of the people have no capacity for empathy. They're generally called sociopaths. But that is possible. I would submit to you that in Alberta Darling's altered state of mind, she has no capacity for empathy. It's true. They go to Milwaukee. She and Dr. Darling go to the Milwaukee Country Club for dinner, and they have no capacity for empathy about what's going on 3 miles away from them.
On the point two there, you talk where by conceptuals lie.
Oh, sorry.
That sounds like a continuum.
I'm sorry, metaphorically speaking, what biconceptuals care about on an issue. So for example, in education, right? Most biconceptuals have progressive values about education, right? They understand that it is part of their community. It's something that they love in their community because it defines the community.
So you're saying that on that issue, biconceptuals tend to be progressive, on different issues, biconceptuals tend to be
conservative, right. So find where they're progressive on a specific issue like education, and then start evoking the progressive frame of that issue.
So if we want to convert biconceptuals, talk about the issues, emphasize those issues where they tend to be
progressive, right? And then you can start translating those values to other issues. And we're going to work on that specifically in the second half.
And would you say the biconceptuals are the majority of the population?
Yes, 80 to 85%, depending on, 75 to 80%. 70 to 80, sorry.
If you've had a good public education, you're a biconceptual.
Yes, I would, chances are.
You see both sides of the issue.
Yeah.
And you're willing to grant the possibility that you're wrong and they may be right on an issue that you don't have the weight on. So you give the benefit of the doubt in an open discussion. That's a public education objective.
Yep. And remember, we're talking about these metaphorical models that exist in everybody from the time you're born, because the first time you were governed is from the time you're born. And then you physically embody those experiences. Yep.
Are we going to spend some time actually outlining what we perceive collectively to be the shared values of
Yes.
progressives
You bet.
before we step off the metaphor land?
Yep. Yeah, so after lunch, we're going to come back, stay in your teams, group, whatever you want to call it, organizational structure, and we're going to do some exercise to start evoking those values out loud within your groups to share with others also, so that we have shared experiences, shared values. And then also the end result is to come up with, what's our message here moving forward? What is the message that we want to take out for the next, start taking out for the next decade to start changing public discourse? And what is one that will work across every issue that we can all relate to? Yeah.
Is that what that lady was doing in the article this morning that I gave you about religion? If you are a religious person, you'll want to
Yeah, I mean,
have rules regarding guns so that everybody can be safe
yeah,
walking.
yeah. And what are the values that need to be evoked for that to work across other issue areas? So that you have a message that is, some people will call it a meta message or an overarching message that evokes, because conservatives have that. The whole thing with, personal liberty or, small government. I mean, those are overarching value statements that fit every issue. So that when you talk about them and you evoke those ideas, people unconsciously understand what you're talking about. You can see a bumper sticker that says "Believe in Wisconsin again," and you know exactly what it means. I don't have to explain it to you. You know that it's a Scott Walker bumper sticker, and you know exactly what "Believe in Wisconsin" means. And there is a very conservative religious subtext to it. You get that. I don't have to explain it.
And then next to that, there's one that says, "Let everybody vote."
Let everybody who is disciplined enough to vote, vote. Oh, sorry, Penny.
I just have a question about the use of the word public.
Yeah.
Because when you start talking about public transportation or public benefits, public school, that does denote kind of a negative thing sometimes, rather than saying community.
Yeah, I was going to, when we get to the later exercises, community is really powerful.
More powerful words.
Common.
Common is, I think, more powerful because community implies communism. Share everything.
Well,
I'm not so sure about that.
I mean, I think if you do,
The 10-15% on the conservative side will probably do that.
Well, I mean, if you do polling on it, then I would say yes, depending on the way the question is framed and posed. I think people would view community as potentially communist or socialist, but it depends on context. I mean, the other thing we have to remember is everything depends on context. So what is the context you're talking about community? If you say public schools are the heart of the community, people think of it in terms of the community they live in themselves, how it provides opportunity in their community that they physically live in. It's a metaphor for a physical, basically a container containing a group of people that is a community, not an ideology. So context is key. And we'll get to that. Yep.
I have written a couple of letters to the editor over the last couple of months, one about parks and one about public schools, that use the word community heavily, both through time and space. And I have had very conservative friends of mine come up to me and say, gee, I really like that letter.
Community is great. Commonwealth is good. I agree with you 100%. Community, we have to start reframing government. And I think the public can be good, again, in context. The context needs to be there. Yep. Let's go way in back. I'm sorry, say the last part again.
I said, do you think that this reframing can actually change the hypocriticalness of the Republicans? I mean, they're so hypocritical.
No, it could. No, it could. Because again, we talked about that there's fundamental truths that are hidden in the frame, which is that the private depends on the public.
The whole fact
Private.
that hypocritical is why we can't. The biconceptualism is what creates their hypocrisy. The hypocrisy exists because there are certain things that they have to deny in order for the systemic structure of their frame to work. So by exposing that to them and making it conscious, because right now they're doing it unconsciously. They don't think they're hypocritical, just ask them. But no, it's true. Here's the thing. When you think they're being hypocritical, that's how you view it in your frame, in your worldview. They are hypocritical, and I could point out to you how they are being perfectly consistent within the structure of their frame. So by addressing them in the progressive frame and unveiling these hidden truths and making them conscious to them, that is how you start changing minds. It's worked with my family. I can tell you from firsthand experience that when my family started first getting this idea that private enterprise and success depends on the public, their brains, you could sense the brain shift going on as they processed it. And over a period of time now, they understand because it fits their worldview. My brother is a public school teacher. What I do is clear. So it fits their worldview. So they can, and most people are capable of that. They just haven't been exposed to it. Let's be honest. It's not in the media. It's not in consistent campaign messaging, with very few exceptions. So they're never exposed to it. So let's start exposing them to it.
Have you converted your family yet?
Close. I will tell you, I know for a fact that they did not vote. They actually voted for Mary Burke. And much of it was because of the education thing. They feel that what is going on with the privatization of public education is just the wrong. And both of my brother and I went to public schools, so it fits. But again, they were biconceptual. They had the capacity to do that. So, but it's taken a few years, some work. But again, it can be done. So let's start doing it. So lunch.